Hi, welcome back to another episode of Chris Dyer's Creative Friends, the super awesome podcast show where me, your artist friend Chris Dyer, talks to all his amazing creative friends. Today, I'm in beautiful Santa Cruz, California, hanging out with my friend Blake Foster, who's a really talented visionary artist and a really sweet brother, and we had an amazing conversation, so I hope you will enjoy it. Blessings!
Talks about passion between the women and the men. Chris Dyer and his creative friends, darling. Ooh, ooh, ooh,
Blake!
Hey, Chris.
Woo!
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me over your studio, man.
For sure, man. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, it's so cool. We're staying in your beautiful tree house in this nice chunk of land in Santa Cruz. What's this nice little compound that's happening here?
Yeah, we have a little acre here. My good friend Benjamin, he owns this property, and I live here with him, and we share this studio space and living on this land together by the creek in Santa Cruz. And I'm just super grateful that to have friends and community that all live together. And I don't know, it's like less lonely, and we help each other, through all the hard times and stuff.
That's great. It's like 5-6 people.
Yeah, 6 people. Yeah,
it's good to have community.
Yeah.
And I like your friend Ben. I haven't met him yet. I like how he repairs old amps.
Oh yeah,
and collects toys, and I can see he's got records.
Yeah, we call him the wizard, but he's kind of an artist of practical, useful things. An upcycler, if you will.
That's awesome. And you're in Santa Cruz or at the edge of Santa Cruz? It feels like you're in country almost with all this nature.
Yeah, it's the very edge. It's actually called unincorporated, but I call it Santa Cruz.
Incorporated?
Unincorporated.
Okay.
So I guess we don't get to vote on certain things or something from right here, but I don't know. It's beautiful in nature, and we can ride our bikes, and it's only like a 8-minute ride into town, so I feel like we're not too far out,
Okay. How you like living in Santa Cruz? How long have you been here? What's the vibe?
I moved here in 2016. Before that, I was in SF for about 10 years. But I really I watched SF change a lot, and I just felt like I needed more nature in my soul. And so my partner Jules, who I've been with for 10 years, she went to college here and was like, "Hey, would you ever want to move in Santa Cruz?" And I was like, "Let's check it out." And so we moved here, and
it's only an hour and a half away.
Yeah, so that's kind of the bright side, is like I feel like I can still go get in all the action of the city life, but I can be more in the nature here. So
yeah, we were there yesterday, and it was fun and nice. There's still some people left there, but certainly it kind of feels like a ghost town compared to the heyday when it was just like such the mecca of so many
arts,
interesting cultures, arts and skateboarding. And so you were living there for 10 years in SF?
Yeah, I moved there in about 2009.
Okay.
And 2016. I guess that's only 7 years, but yeah.
Where were you from originally?
Originally San Luis Obispo, so it's about 2.5 hours south from Santa Cruz.
Okay. So you're fully Cali boy.
Cali boy, yeah.
And how was living in SF, man? I love SF. Like I used to go up mid-2000s for like the skate industry more than anything. And if I ever moved to the States, I would tell myself as a Canadian, it would be SF. And by the time I had to move to the States, it's like, it's not the same.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I first came up there to skateboard myself.
Yeah?
And
like for fun or like professionally?
For fun, on the wharfs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You see all the skate videos, everyone was skating the wharf and stuff. And so I was like, I gotta go there, And so I came up and my first car, and stuff.
What a great place to skate. Like I was telling Paulina, look at all these hills and look how buttery the streets are. And she's like, yeah. And then I sent her a video from GX 1000. I don't know if you follow them. It's like a San Francisco crew of like rappers. And And it was this dude being pulled up a hill on a car, and then he went down that hill and he's scooting through moving cars and falling over things. It's just madness, but so nice. So you go and visit SF every now and then, or do things there?
Yeah. There's like a lot of shows, concerts. I do some live painting at events there. Yeah, it's still, and when I lived there, I made a lot of friends, so I got my good friends there, and so I just go up there to see them too, and yeah, I don't know, I'm hoping to see it kind of come back, like the culture and such.
It'd be amazing if it became affordable again for normal hippies and skaters
Yeah,
to
totally.
go back and take back that beautiful landscape and architecture.
Yeah.
I saw you recently at CoSM. We got to hang out there in New York at Alex Gray's place. How do you like it out there?
Oh man, that was my first time out there, and I know CoSM's been there for a while, but this was the grand opening of Entheon, and man, I was just so impressed to see what two artists. I know they have a whole community that's helped them, but to see what two artists can do in a whole lifetime, and really kind of lead the way for all of us artists on what you can do and how much you can influence society through art, and spread healing and psychedelics. It's just impressive. I don't know, like there's been a lot of impressive artists over history, but I feel like Alex is up there.
Right, both. Technically, of course, but also the subject matter he's painting, it's like looking into the future. Well, not the future, just into a reality of humanity that's not very perceived and honored.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's our future to perceive and honor our spiritual side, and for him to like map out these like blueprints for humanity to move into a more spiritual reality.
Yeah.
Super important work done beautifully, and with a whole community around it. And obviously Allison's also a great artist in her own right. Also bringing a certain code from a different dimension. Were you stoked to be part of the group show?
Oh yeah, so honored. I mean, I feel like relatively to someone like you or Alex, I feel like I've been doing this a short amount of time. I first started painting in this style about 2015, so about 8 years in. So I'm super honored to be included in a show of this caliber. I kind of just feel like it's a divine synchronicities just lining up. And
well, you're a great painter, and as much as perhaps. We should always honor our elders and the people who've been there, like, creating the path and stuff, like if you worked hard and you created a great style, like, fuck yeah, that's, people get excited and people want to see more about it. So good job getting there, man. Now, more recently, you were also in Denver this last weekend?
Yes, last weekend.
For the MAP Psychedelic Sciences Conference.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's another thing I'm grateful for. Felt like a very historic event. I actually was at the MAPS 2017 Psychedelic Conference in Oakland here.
Okay.
And I was just starting out then, so I kind of just was a spectator. But just to see in 6 years later how much that's grown. And, I think maybe the hard times through COVID kind of has catapulted a lot of this need for healing and mental health. And so it was really cool just to see the growth of this psychedelic movement and the science backing it. As artists, I think we've been pushing it for a long time, but to have the science come through and kind of show, maybe even spill into the mainstream a bit and show like, hey, like this is legitimate stuff. This is not just hippies making up stuff,
Right. It's interesting how like we have to legitimize these medicines that have been being used for thousands of years with science. Science is what will convince you that this is actually doing something good. Not our stories and the actual healing you're seeing in persons. That's too anecdotal. But science and numbers and measurements, well, whatever,
Whatever works, right?
Whatever
helps
works
to reach everyone.
Right. What kind of activities were happening there in that conference?
Oh, I mean, there was so many lectures. There was like booths of all different, right now, as it becomes mainstream, we're getting a lot of branding and companies providing the medicines. And so you see all these vendors, and then they had a huge art space called Deep Space. And you had all kinds of like a tea lounge and different healing modalities of like meditation and laying in chairs with VR. And then a whole art gallery of all the artists who've been painting about this stuff.
That was made by Jen Ingram, right?
Yeah, Jen Ingram, Tribe 13. Yeah, she did a wonderful job. It was so impressive. Mostly original works that were displayed, which is really cool because at festivals, a lot of times we display prints. And this was all original work. So seeing, original Alex and Robert Venosa, and you had a piece there as well. I don't know, it's just a whole other level to see that many talented original works all together. That's a rare sight, kind of like CoSM.
Right. How many people made it to that?
I think it sold out at 12,000 tickets sold.
Wow. So it was like a big convention center or something?
Yeah, Denver Convention Center. It was massive complex.
Okay. I think I went to Comic-Con there once.
Oh, yeah. It's big, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I think the tickets were expensive. So on top of it, it's like, if it would have been cheaper, you could fill it in more. What a great reflection of where psychedelics is going and how much is being accepted or even becoming popular in the mainstream, huh?
Yeah, totally.
How do you feel about psychedelics reaching everyone?
I think it's really important. I feel like right now is a very critical tipping point in history. We see all the environment damage and COVID, everything from viruses to mental health. Like, I feel like, the more we're getting more connected through technology, but we seem to be like more isolated from that. And I just think I think this is like something hopeful to change society around, and the whole picture that we're that's inevitable. We have to destroy the earth. Like, I think if we change from the inside, all that can be changed. I have a lot of hope for that. And I think the psychedelic movement is a big part of that. That's what drives me to do this work and work so hard. I feel like I'm helping out with my gift in something that can really change for the better. And so seeing it go into the mainstream, I'm all for it. Of course, there's that we're in a capitalistic world and there's a lot of money involved, and we worry about things like not reaching all the people. Like, this is a very expensive conference, so already it's a certain demographic who can go to this. And so we definitely have to look at those kind of things and figure out how to reach everyone.
Right.
But
or the culture could be hijacked by, I don't want to say the wrong people, but people with not the highest intentions. Once again, capitalistic, they might just like, well, I'm going to get on this new, trend of psychedelics and make a bunch of money. And I don't really care about high quality medicine. I just want to make more loot. Totally. Or just milk the cool factor of it and make it into just like a cheesy culture that, once again, is selling more superficiality and not really getting in there and liberating us from it.
Totally.
Could be that. But either way, that it's just allowed for us to play again without going to jail or being punished for it or being chastised or insulted or looked like a bunch of stupid freaks. It's a good movement. It's interesting how, like, humanity, which is nature, is now becoming so, quote unquote, powerful that it's destroying nature, and it's nature itself through psychedelics that's like, no, please don't destroy this whole equation, nature. We're going to use nature to save nature. Yeah. I know. It's a beautiful thing. So what's some medicines that you've used in your life?
I guess, well, if I start from the beginning, it was cannabis, and for about 10 years, it was only cannabis. I grew up as a Dyer kid, if you will. So like, it was a Dyer program in school. We were taught, don't do drugs, kids,
Oh, Dyer. Yeah. Those cool t-shirts.
Yeah. They were cool t-shirts.
don't do drugs or violence, something like that.
Yeah. So because of that, I discovered cannabis and I was like, hey, they lied. Like, this is an amazing plant. And then, of course, with no guidance, like, I feel like a lot of us, I abused the heck out of it. I was like high 24/7 for a lot of years. But, it did slow me down. It revolutionized my creativity and imagination. But after 10 years, then I discovered mushrooms. And that was like, it kind of reminded me of when I first started using cannabis, like just the revolution in my mind, in my spirit. All of a sudden I was like, whoa, there's way more to all this than meets the eye, like your perceptions change. And I felt like I saw nature like I'd never seen it before. And through cannabis, I was already obsessed with trees and nature. My favorite time to use cannabis is when hiking or, out there in the wilderness. And then mushrooms were like the next level to that, you know. And then shortly after that, I tried LSD for the first time here in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
And during that time, I was, you know, my art was like, I was graffiti based. So I kind of learned paint and colors and abstraction through letters, and just out there, you know, being a rebel skate kid, you know.
I can resonate with that.
But as quickly after taking, you know, the mushrooms and the LSD, I feel like my ego went through a transformation, and I was kind of like, oh man, what am I doing? Just writing my name over and over again.
Right.
Like it kind of helped me build confidence in an ego, but I was like, what am I spreading? What am I contributing to community and society, you know? And so quickly, like, I kind of like put down the cans for a bit and was like, reevaluate everything. And the level of detail my perception could see through psychedelics, I was like, man, I need a brush to get this kind of to translate this kind of detail. So I put the cans down, and I hope to pick them back up again, and combine them with the brush. But now it's
What's the last time you've used cans?
About 2014, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to jam one day.
I know, that would be awesome to do a mural together.
If you ever come to Florida, like, and visit and stuff, like, let's hit some walls in my backyard.
That'd be cool. Like even Basil or something, you know? We could,
Yeah. Let's get a wall.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. And yeah, we can just play and do something like psychedelic and weird.
Yeah.
So you found your new artistic style through doing mushrooms and LSD. And what would you say specifically? Obviously, it taught you like, oh, this is not who I want to be. But like, do you remember any of the messages you learned by doing those medicines?
I mean, the biggest one that stands out is just the way I could see nature from like the tiniest level of detail, like the microscopic, to the macro, thinking about the cosmos and the big. And it all just seemed like kind of the same patterns, the same language reiterated in different scales. And then, you know, mathematically, I started learning about fractals. You know, I was like looking at all my experiences online and reading about other people's trips and seeing the commonalities. And for painting, I was just like, man, I want to show this, what I'm thinking about, how like it's all the same reiterations in different scales and forms. And so I feel like my eye is just changed in how I see everything. Not only during the trips, but even afterwards, I can still look at everything differently. And I think it's just a fine tuning of my consciousness, being able to see nature in these ways, and then pull out pieces of what I saw in my inner space and the outer space, and kind of combine them together on the canvas and try to show that to the viewer.
Do you feel like it was something new you were seeing, or something that you already knew, but that you were like remembering? It almost seems like something like this is something that you've lived for a long time, but perhaps got temporarily forgotten, and that just kind of like opened up the floodgates.
Yeah, probably, perhaps. I mean, definitely my grandparents and parents gave me a deep appreciation for nature already. But, you know, depending on the medicine, you know, you can go so deep, and, you know, sometimes I feel like, especially with like DMT, for instance, I feel like I'm seeing a whole nother dimensions. And you start realizing that, you know, we have our 5 main senses, but like there's stuff beyond that. And we know through science, like we know there's magnetic waves and things that only instruments can measure, and our senses can't see them, but we know they're there. And so that just goes to show you that there's way more than our senses can perceive.
Right.
And with these medicines, I don't know what exactly happens. We're figuring that out with the sciences. But I feel like you almost get superpowers. So your brain is like connecting like it never has, and your senses become heightened. And,
right. And I guess that's something I would appreciate with like a medicine like DMT or Changa, as opposed to ayahuasca, because ayahuasca is like takes a while to go in, and then you go in and it's long, and then it takes a while to go out, and then you're back to normal, and you're like, okay, I'm happy that ended because it's intense. While the DMT and Changa is like a quick in and out, and then you realize like, damn, this veil's like really fucking thin. It's almost like a whoop.
Yeah, you can pop in that quick.
Fuck, this is right here, but on a different frequency, and then whoop, it's like, it's still here. I just can't perceive it. Where did it go? Like, well, I can see in your paintings.
Yep.
That's cool, man. And I find it interesting what you're saying, that you were doing graffiti and you were writing your name, and then once you did psychedelics, like that didn't resonate with you anymore. because in my workshops where I teach street art or spray painting, whatever you want to call it, I just philosophize. I like philosophizing, and I'm always saying that I feel like graffiti is like the cry of the ego, like I am here,
Here I exist.
I exist.
Yeah,
this is my name. Please give me some importance. But eventually, you're like, well, it's not just me. There's also me and my community, and that's street art. And street art is like, oh, it's us, and it's these races, and it's this community, and it's this political, perspective. And then after that is the next movement of street art, which I don't know, I call it sometimes visionary graffiti or visionary muralism. And it's like, it's none of that shit. It's not the ego of the me. It's not even the community. It's the oneness of it all. And it's beyond even this little bubble of reality. And that's why I'm not trying to put another box on street art, but I always recognize like, oh, that's visionary art and street art combined to kind of like leave blueprints to get out of this illusion of reality, or at least know that this is not the only thing happening.
Totally.
And I feel that's what visionary artists like yourselves are doing in canvases, but I encourage you to get back to the streets eventually.
I do. I want to do that because you can reach the whole public. It's not like exclusive to, oh, you have to pay this cover fee at this gallery or something. You're out there in front of anyone to see. And so that's the best way to spread these messages, I think.
Right. And there's an impermanence to it that also is kind of like a spiritual
like
process. It's like, I worked so hard on that mural, and it could leave in a week if somebody just wants to bomb over it.
Exactly.
And but also it's owned by the streets, it's not owned by the collector that can afford it. It's owned by, the crackhead that wants to like lean right next to it and get high, and that's for them too, because area is God going through this beautiful experience. So in Denver, you were collaborating with Apex Collective. Are you part of Apex, or are they your friends who you collaborate with? What's your interaction with them?
Yeah, we're friends. I think the collective is like Stephen Cruz, Jake Amazon, and Peter Westerman. And then they have guest appearances with some of their homies like Seth McMahon and me. So yeah, we kind of pop in whenever it seems right. And I think just we have like a similar visual vocabulary that we all play with from our experiences, and we've kind of found it just meshes well together because it, especially when it's very abstract, you can kind of just like throw each other's styles in together, and it kind of works like a big soup,
It kind of looks like one artist with many tricks. Because there's like a, well, as you said, it's abstract. There's not like a subjective thing that has to happen. Perhaps there's a general shape, I could imagine.
Yeah, we talk about color palettes or overall composition, but that's about the only discussion, we have.
What about intention? Like, do you guys ever say like, let's make this painting about the rising of consciousness through psychedelics? Perhaps that would have been a fitting topic for the MAPS conference. Or is it just like a random, like, oh, let's just do random weirdness everywhere, and whatever comes out? Like,
yeah, I think for with those guys, we like to keep it very abstract so that it all is cohesive together. But definitely with my personal work and with other collaborations, such as my friend Jonathan here in this painting, we definitely have deep discussions, and we get very intimate hanging out with each other, and kind of discuss about what each painting will be about, and really go in with a concept and intentions. So it depends on who I'm working with for those different types of collaborations. But I mean, certain people work really well together. So me and Jonathan, this is our 6th painting together. And I don't know, we just found like we're on a similar page, both artistically and just like in communication with each other. And so that just flows really easily. And like both of us feel like there's not much ego battle or anything, we both just love working with each other, and we're going to keep doing that.
He's a chill guy like you.
Yeah, totally.
Man, that bird up there.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny. Is he inside or is it outside?
Right outside the window, yeah, that nest.
That's so cool. So if you guys hear some bird sounds, that's a bird's nest up in my head. But yeah, I was saying that both you and Jonathan Salter are so chill. What's your friendship with him? How long do you know him? Where you know him from?
Well, I guess in 2012, I first met him in a basement of a nightclub, and he was live painting. I think he had just graduated illustration school in SF.
Okay.
And he was out there just trying to figure out an art career. And at that time, I was going through that transition of taking psychedelics, kind of phasing out of graffiti, and trying to find my new direction. And I saw his work, and I was blown away. I hadn't, other than Alex Gray, I hadn't seen anyone do this type of work. And so, I approached him and told him, like, hey, man, this is amazing. Like, at that time, I hadn't done DMT yet, so I wasn't even familiar with what he was painting from, But flash forward a few years later, he reached out to me and was like, hey, would you want to collaborate? We kept seeing each other at festivals. And so
he started as like a science fiction illustrator, huh?
yeah, totally.
Yeah, and certainly you could look at either his work or even this as a science fiction. This could be along the lines of the worlds that Doctor Strange goes to when he trips out.
Exactly.
Like we see it as like, whoa, they're going to DMT land. What the fuck's going on here, Marvel? But the normal person's like, oh, they're going to some magical land of,
Yeah.
who knows what.
Well, that's a cool crossover we get now in the current Doctor Strange movies. It's like, it seems like psychedelic culture is permeating even Hollywood, so.
Right. Like the medicine's getting in. That whole crossover between Marvel, Disney, psychedelics, medicine, and whatever fucking darkness they're doing on the background is quite interesting.
Yeah, totally.
It's almost like, they got such darkness probably in the underbelly of the company and activities that like some fucking light pops out and we're all like, okay, more trails, more, more clues for people to understand their true selves.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's great that you and Jonathan are working together. I haven't seen him in a while. I got fond memories with him. As I was telling you earlier, we hanged out in Portugal, and I know him for years, but our hanging out with him in Portugal was one that I always remember. And I hope to see him soon. Like he's doing his thing, I'm doing mine, and I hope to get him on this show and pick his brain too. Yeah. Much love, Jonathan. We love you. So let's go to your roots. Like you're telling me you started as a graph artist and a skater. Did you actually go to school, or were you just started in the streets?
Yeah, I mean the graffiti just started. Okay, so I started skating when I was about maybe 8 or 10. But around high school, about freshman year, I started breakdancing as well.
No.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was like, let's say, I think that was like maybe 97 or 98 or something.
Cool. What age?
I was like 16 or 15 or something like that.
Nice.
And so, yeah, like...
So you're fully hip-hop culture.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The skating kind of got me into that. And then from breakdancing, then I discovered graffiti. And so yeah, the graffiti started out just under bridges. Out where I'm from, there's like all these creeks, and anytime there's a big road that goes over a creek, you get these big bridges, with walls, and they're out. Sometimes you have to hike to them, and there's just not many people out there. So I just spend whole days just trying to figure out these spray cans, and painting stuff underneath them. And I always approach it from an art perspective. I wasn't just out there trying to vandalize stuff. I was just trying to figure out this medium, this artistic tool. And
so this is also the 90s, like the late 90s?
Yeah, like 98, I'd say. Yeah.
That's old school, man.
Yeah. Well, I just turned 40 this year. So.
Yeah, but even like I was also spray painting in the 90s, but like not a lot of people today, like even in our age group, were like doing from that far back. Like now, era uses like era is just jumping on that medium. Totally. But like it's cool to hear that you were doing it from. So you were probably using Krylon
and Rust-Oleum.
Damn.
And switching different caps, trying to figure out what works.
Yeah, one of your lungs doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely some toxic stuff.
And your graffiti name was Sid Walks One.
Yeah, Sidewalks.
Sidewalks.
Yeah, and that kind of came from my skateboarding skateboarding,
Sidewalk.
yeah,
Okay.
grinding the curbs and surfing the
I always
asphalt.
read it the wrong way. I was like, Seed Walks One. And I read it the whole thing because that was your Instagram at one point.
Yeah.
This guy, Seed Walks One, he's so cool. and then you change your name, and it took me forever to remember your name. It's like, why did he change his cool Seed Walks One? Seed Walks.
Yeah,
thing?
I kind of just felt like, for a long time I kept it because I was like, this is where I came from. This is where I learned to do art. But at one point, I think just taking more medicines, I just felt like, okay, that's cool. Like that's my history, but that's not where I'm going now. And, back then I had a lot of resistance to using my government name. I was trying to hide from the law, and now I guess trying to step into my most authentic self,
Do you feel your given name is more authentically you than the one that you chose to give yourself?
I think maybe that name had some darkness in it. I had a lot of angst, frustration, and anger about the state of the world at that younger age, and that name represented that. But
Gotcha. Yeah, you had the name had collected enough relationship with a certain vibration that it no longer fit the new you were creating, and perhaps your given name could be refreshed or something.
Yeah.
I changed my name too for a couple of years. When I went tree planting and I got so tired of being like a negative fucking drunk, I changed my name to Carlos Sanchez.
Oh, nice.
And saw a lot of tree planter, because I was a tree planter for a few years. A lot of tree planting people and hitchhiking friends. They always thought my name was Carlos, but eventually I went back to Chris Dyer because fuck. I think social media blows your cover.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I gotta fucking put my name out there now, people, because you can tell before social media or even emails, you could tell your name was whatever to anybody, and that was how you were running at that moment. You can reinvent yourself in the moment if you wanted to. Do you feel using your giving name makes you sound more like a real gallery artist as opposed to having a graffiti name?
Well, what's funny is when I used to see like a lineup at a gallery or something, the names that would pop out to me were the clever like graffiti ones, the names people made up, and I'd be like, oh, that's a cool name,
right?
And then all the other names were just generic, first and last name,
right?
And so
it's like an artist name,
yeah.
And I guess Mars One pulls it out.
Yeah, he did a good job with that, but also it relates to his real name,
People
Mario.
know his name is Mario Martinez.
Yeah. So that worked out,
yeah, cool. Like, you're probably gonna stick with it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you don't.
The rebrand is a lot of work,
right? Dude, like my friend Heyoka, who then was Andrelian, and now it's like damn. I feel like the poor guy's got to keep on like teaching everybody like this is the new version of my name and stuff.
But I can relate too as an artist. We're always wanting to stay inspired, and that comes with reinventing yourself.
Right, and that's fair, and if they can't catch up, like, that's too bad. So what about skating? Like, tell me about how long have you been skating? Do you still skate?
I don't skate anymore. I'm starting to feel like an old person a little bit.
Okay.
I also snowboard, but I've taken a break from both of those now.
How come?
I guess went from feeling like very invincible, and these days, I very much value my health and my body, and I just don't want to destroy it. And I guess that's fear-based, but no,
it's wise. I can resonate with it. I have these conversations with Paulina sometimes. Like, I went skateboarding last week in Shasta for Go Skateboarding Day. I don't skate that much, but it's like, it's Go Skate Day. Like, my client was a skater. He gave me his board. I got on a ramp. I fell a bunch of times. I got a bad knee already. I got a hand that hurts from spray painting so much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like,
I relate to that.
Long,
yeah.
And then you fucking fall 3 meters high onto the ground. And it's just like, oh man, do I got to be throwing that on top of it? So I'd say you're giving more love to yourself than I am. But I'm kind of addicted to both doing skateboarding, but also my relationship with who am I in my self-identification as like, I'm a skater. Skater is part of my identity. I'm cool because I'm a skater. And this is all bullshit, I'm telling you right now. But I still haven't been able to shake that off, and I just fucking love, being 44 and getting up there and still being able to fucking do my old tricks. But I understand you.
Yeah.
What part of your body would you want to protect the most from falling into the concrete?
I mean, over the years, like 4 years ago, snowboarding, I gave myself whiplash really bad, and I can literally like click a vertebrae in my neck right now.
Oh.
Still, like 4 years later, and so I have constant neck pain. And when I was a breakdancer, I chipped off the 2 front teeth doing a backflip on the asphalt.
Damn.
And so I don't know. I just certain incidents like that. You know, I guess they're lightweight traumas. You know.
Right.
But I just started to realize like the impermanence, you know, and the fragility of everything. And
Do you miss it?
definitely do miss it. Yeah. But also I'm so grateful for my expressions that I have now.
Uh-huh.
And I do want to get back into murals for sure. I think I miss that the most, but
Must be hard to be in a city like Santa Cruz and not skate.
yeah,
It's such a skater town.
it is. It's known
Damn,
for
it
that.
must be in your face every day. Like even Killer Acid, who I'm hanging out with tomorrow, he doesn't skate. He's like, let me take you to the skate park. There's this great skate park right next to me. I'll lend you a board. And I'm like, let's go, you know? But yeah, I don't know. You're making me think.
Don't let me influence you.
No, it's okay. I need to hear more of my peers. The first person who told me like I can't skate because I'm an artist now and I want to fuck up my hand was my friend Other, also known as Troy Lovegates. I don't know if you know his art. He lived in SF for a while, but he's from Ottawa and Montreal. Great street artist, legendary. But he never blew up. Like he's been in Juxtapose and in White Walls and stuff, but he's not like a household name.
Yeah.
But he's truly like a legend, like, you know, hobo that's lived all around the world and jumps trains, and he's been doing the characters he's probably done thousands of trains, and he was a great skater too. And at one point he's like, I'm in my 40s now, I'm gonna stop bashing my hand to the ground. I need it to stay tight for painting. So perhaps I need to hear more of you wise people so I can just like, you know, either stop or use my wrist guard whenever I do.
Yeah, there you go.
So back to your formation. Did you ever go to school for art?
Yeah, so I only took one painting class in community college. It was like acrylic brush painting class. But other than that, I went to art school for 3D animation down in Hollywood.
Okay.
And that was a 2-year intensive program, like 50 hours a week. I learned about like 12 software programs. The main ones were Maya and ZBrush. And that blew my mind open, just like where we're at with technology and what we have the ability to do now as individuals. I mean, I learned the whole pipeline for filmmaking and video game making.
Wow.
But it's so much and it's so time consuming that like I have the ability to make a short film or whatever, but that would take me years to do by myself. And so you see these big blockbuster movies, it's collaborations of thousands of people. I mean, you see the screen scrolling at the end, all those names. And so it's like a factory, you know.
And you could be a cog in that giant machine and you'd be like, oh, I did that toenail on fucking Thanos.
Did you see my name scroll real fast at the end? Like,
and what does it matter? Maybe you got a good paycheck, but like, I want to be an animator too, actually. When I moved to Canada at 17 and like going from Peru to Canada, it's like, I want to be an artist, but art doesn't make money. So maybe if I'm an animator,
that's what,
you know, but I never fucking was able to get into school. I kept on rejecting me because they said my art was too cartoony.
Oh, shit.
It's like, no, like, I know. It's like, but I want to do cartoons. I want to do Simpsons style shit, not like super anatomical things. Like, no, but you need to know your anatomy. So I went to fine arts and I didn't make it in and stuff. But that's cool. You had those skills. I can totally see how something like ZBrush could influence the three-dimensionality of your paintings.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel tempted of going into ZBrush and fucking making yourself one of these puppies?
Yeah, well, so sometimes for my paintings still, I use these tools because, you know, I got into big debt. It was like a $50,000 school, and I took that loan out myself, you know, and so...
Are you still paying for it?
It's actually paid off in 2019.
Okay, nice. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I was stoked to get past that.
Poor Americans.
Yeah. But yeah, I still use those tools to this day. Like I have this one painting where I did the evolution of a snowflake as it's falling. And all that geometry, I just went into Maya and modeled all the snowflakes out and then used that wireframe as my drawing reference for the painting. And so, you know, stuff that complex, like I feel like whenever I need to, if I'm doing a lot of geometry based stuff, the best tool is the stuff I learned in college. So I pull those tricks out, you know.
Nice.
But at this point, like this painting, I considered using that, but spending so many hours in that XYZ 3-dimensional space in the computer, I feel like changed my mind. And so now when I go to draw on the canvas, I can see in those dimensions almost
All the lines.
and how they would land correctly.
Huh.
And so now I can just like, draw these 3-dimensional shapes freehand.
So you got your perspective on point.
Yeah,
It's a good tool to have.
definitely.
I took perspective class because I ended up doing illustration. So I had to get my horizon and all the fucking lines and where the shadow would land depending on where the sun was hitting the body and shit.
Yeah, like in these 3D programs, they're literally just simulating reality physics. So like how like light comes from a certain source and the photons bounce off that surface depending on how the surface is, and it bounces to your eye, and the lighting and shadows and all that stuff. It like breaks down the science of reality, and you're applying that to in the computer's doing it for you, but we like understood it through those classes, and then now you apply it to real life painting.
As a person who use computers to help design the painting that you will do you think there's a limit of what is correct or not in using computers to make a painting? Like if you want to make a painting, not a digital piece, and that's, you can do whatever you want in the digital space, and here's a digital painting, and we all know, is that. But if you want to do a painting, and you can use computers to, for example, make models and then use that as a reference, do you feel there's like a line where like, okay, that's the line that I won't cross, where the computer did it all and I just gotta like add a touch of a paint and then now it's officially a painting? Like, do you feel there's a limit in that, or is it like whatever goes?
I mean, coming from like graffiti, I feel like there's no rules, it's art. And I like to just really apply any techniques I've learned throughout my path. And the more new things I learn, I want to incorporate that. And so for me, the computer is just another tool to use. It is very interesting. Now we're getting into this AI art, phase in the world. And, it's going to be harder and harder for people to discern what's, someone spent a lot of hours on or something a machine made. But I don't know, I kind of come from the sense that, all these are just tools, and we're just going to keep evolving. And to use whatever we have available. I think all the cutting edge artists throughout time, Da Vinci or, everyone kind of just, used like the cutting edge and broke all the rules. That's kind of how they got known. And,
so would AI art to you, and this is a personal opinion and there's no right or wrong in a personal opinion, but is AI art crossing the line? Is that still art? Even though it came from prompts, like somebody say like, hey, make me a painting of a carrot, taking a shit. Like, is that still art, or did the computer do that, with the skills that it borrowed from other artists or the styles that other people defined?
I mean, definitely getting into controversial space there. But I think I've seen people who like, is it Blue Tech, who's using pieces of the AI and then putting it together and doing a lot of work. And so using it just as a tool in their pipeline, and I think that's super cool. But yeah, I guess just having the machine pump out something and then claiming that you did that or something, that's kind of, cheesy. And
it's not for you.
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah, I no disrespect to AI artists. Like, hey, if that's what you do, awesome. We all got our thing.
Yeah. And,
we all got our video game to play. And as long as you find enjoyment, and hey, as long as you end up with an image that really like brings a feeling out of somebody, I think we've succeeded.
Totally.
And we've created more medicine for this planet. Okay, so back to your formation. You were doing school in Hollywood, California. You learned 3D animation. You were spray painting in the streets. You had your psychedelic revolution, and then you changed. You changed what you wanted to do. You changed your medium to acrylics.
Yeah, acrylic brush.
Acrylic brush. And what was your learning curve there? How did you learn to paint so beautifully, so quickly? Tell me about that process.
I guess all the years of drawing, spray painting, 3D animation, they all kind of like cross-influence each other. And then taking the psychedelics, I was like, oh, this is a whole new level of detail. I got to pick up the brush. And I kind of at first was incorporating stencils even to incorporate the spray paint with the brush. And I kind of had like a 2-year period where I was just experimenting and, wasn't putting anything out on social media or anything. I was just trying to transition and figure this new medium out. And then I discovered festivals, music festivals. And then that brought in community and influence from just being around so many artists and everyone kind of encouraging each other. And it's like, felt like a family,
What's your first music festivals you've been to?
Well, the very first one I went to, where I met my partner Jules, was a Snow Globe, 2011, 2012 New Year's. Mm-hmm. And
what was that?
I was in Tahoe, California, and it didn't snow that year, but it usually does.
Okay.
And then shortly after that was Lightning in a Bottle, 2012. Uh-huh. And
what's some of the first artists that you saw that you were like, whoa, that's so cool?
Well, at Snow Globe, I saw Mario Martinez, Mars One.
Oh, wow.
And he was just working solo, painting really fast. And then 6 months later, I was working for a gallery and ended up being his assistant for a week while he painted a big 5-story building. And so I got to pick his brain on the boom lift and kind of just, I saw his techniques he used on the wall, and he shared a lot of just his journey and story with me. Mm-hmm. And that was like probably my biggest influence other than psychedelics. What a great person to assist. He's such a G. Yeah, totally.
And so that mural in San Francisco, right, was a black and white dots mural, right?
Yeah.
So was he doing any blending at all?
Yeah, there's a purple like gradient beam he put before he did the dots.
Okay.
And so I got to see him blend that out.
Okay, and you were saying that he does some kind of like wet on wet, where he explain yourself.
Yeah, I guess you have your colors pre-mixed already to go, and then you work really fast because acrylics dry so fast, and you're literally like mixing them on the canvas together, and you just keep stroking over it, and the colors blend together on the brush and on the canvas directly, and so you get these soft gradients that maybe you have seen like with graffiti. Spray paint is very good at gradients, but this is a way to achieve that with a brush.
Do you need any retardants or mediums to keep it wet?
It depends on how hot or dry your environment is. So here on the coast in California on a foggy day, it's perfect environment. But if you're out in the desert on a super hot day, you're going to want like a humidifier and retarders and all the tricks you can to slow the drying of the acrylics.
Like a humidifier machine?
Oh yeah,
right next
put moisture right into your environment. Yeah.
I've never thought about that. I've seen people with like spray bottles.
Oh yeah, I use a spray bottle at Burning Man. That's what I do there.
But doesn't it get all dusty and like cake?
It does. Burning Man's the roughest place to paint, I swear.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. And you use, I'm looking at your acrylics right now, and you use Nova color.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that acrylic brand. Why that over Golden or Liquitex?
So I use Golden a lot too.
Okay.
It's a very good brand of paints, family owned, and one of the first acrylics that were invented. But it's very expensive out of the art stores. And so Nova is a factory down in SoCal, and they actually don't even sell it at art stores. You just buy it directly from them. So it's like wholesale paint. So you can buy these big buckets for way cheaper than, Golden is at the art store. Because the art store has, they've marked it up to make a living, So this is the most affordable paint you can get in bulk. And
I think I've seen somebody else use that, but I can't remember who. Like, I've seen that before somewhere, but I can't remember who was doing it. Maybe Drew Brophy? I can't remember. But yeah, anyways, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to take notes and look into them because that sounds like a good deal. And it's a good quality of color.
Oh, it's very good quality. And I like the consistency. It's not too heavy, it's not too thick, and it's not too thin. Golden is on the thinner side of paints, which is great for glazing and stuff. But it's right in the middle of just like buttery, like as close as you can get to oils without being oils,
Do you want to get into oils at some point?
That's my next goal. Yeah. And because you can start painting in acrylics and then finish it in oils. You can't do the other way around, but I think that might be my new workflow if I learn the oils.
Like do the under base all black and white, or like black and brown, or black and ochre?
Whatever colors, lay down the background because it'll dry quickly. Because that's the only disadvantage to oils. They dry so slowly, which can be good to blend on the canvas, but just kind of finish it and get that buttery look and color at the end with the oils.
what's your plan on learning that? Is there any like particular artist that you're gonna seek out to learn that technique?
Right now we live in the age of information online, so there's so many classes on there that are cheap and just videos you can watch at your own speed. So I'll probably just do something like that. But the first step is I got to buy all the new materials, new brushes and paints.
Right, and some kind of ventilation situation for your studio.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because that's
the health thing with that.
Yeah, like it makes me so nervous. My friend Jack Schur, he does oils, and he tells me that acrylics are actually more toxic than oils. And I don't know. I'm having a hard time believing that. Maybe Jack, you're right, but I don't know.
Well, I know they both use similar minerals. Like cadmium is a poisonous mineral that's the color for both oil and acrylic. But acrylics is, I guess, more plastic. So I don't know if it's maybe worse for the environment in that sense.
Like if it dries, does it get into my skin? While our oil kind of seems like it could seep into it, especially with these chemicals. But with the right chemicals, perhaps it's not too bad.
Yeah, I heard you can use very natural oils, and there's probably the best. You can get the nice stuff.
Mineral waters, lavender and such. Maybe take a nice gargle of that, and it'll be healthy for me.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm going by anecdotes here. So let's go back to your formation. I'll keep on going into all these different directions, but I just want to pull the thread on things. You wanted to learn painting. You got influence at these festivals, and you did a week assistantship with Mars. But where else did you learn painting itself? Did you just try it out?
Yeah, a lot of trial and error. But also, Jonathan, once we started collaborating, when you collaborate very closely with someone, you can't help but pick up their techniques because you're literally there together, like touching sometimes. And
do you guys touch each other?
Well, in a friendly way.
Okay, nice. It's all good here.
But yeah, you influence each other, and it's inevitable to pick up each other's techniques. And so I would say Jonathan's been a huge influence. Even before I worked with him, his work inspired me. But then working together, I think he kind of picked up on my slowing down and polishing and rendering tightly. And I picked up on his speed and maybe some of his glazing techniques. And,
nice. Yeah, I like you guys' collaboration because Jonathan's very loose and almost messy, and I don't want to call him untight, but you're very refined and tight, and it's almost like you crisp up what he does. So it's almost like he loosens you up and you tighten him up.
I think it's good balance, like yin yang type of thing.
Yeah, it's a great combination. You think you guys will always do these collabos, or is it something that at one point, you've had enough, or is just something that
at this point we want to keep going? I feel like this is a painting number 6 together, and
and you just sold it.
Yeah, we just sold it, so we're stoked on that. Thanks. I think we're gonna keep working.
Sick. Good job there. So I want to know a little bit more about your subject matter. Obviously, to me, these are interdimensional landscapes, which is also something that Jonathan does. Something that I'm really bad at myself. Like, I'm all about the subject matter. It's really weird because I don't see any being in my psychedelic investigations. I always see places or geometry, but never like beings. But in my art, I want to do beings.
Yeah.
Do you see landscapes in your psychedelic investigations? Or do you see beings? Are these beings here? Like, what is this? Do you understand what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, I try to understand it as best as I can. I definitely see a lot of patterns, geometry, colors. I myself haven't seen any beings, but I hear a lot about those encounters. Maybe I will with ayahuasca. I don't know. But
do you feel them? Because I don't see them, but I feel them.
Yeah.
And they speak to me.
I feel a presence of life on the other side or something. But I guess visually, I'm just bringing back pieces of the visuals I see. And a lot of it is...
Is this stuff you've seen that you remember that you've painted? Or is it like a subconscious remembering?
It's like a combination of seeing these things in my inner space, but then being reminded when I see them out in the world in different ways. But like the kind of base form is there out in nature. And then kind of, I read about like physics and like chaos theory, which kind of informed this painting. And so you're almost getting like a cross of like science or science fiction, kind of crossroads with spirituality and thinking about other dimensions, and thinking how everything is like frequency, and at the micro level, everything is geometry. If you look at stuff under microscopes, you literally have, dodecahedrons and tetrahedrons and all these geometric shapes actually exist, and they're all there at the micro level. And so I've done a lot of pondering of like, why we see all these geometries and patterns, with these medicines, and it kind of just takes you down to the root of everything, of matter, down to the cellular level. That's what we're all made of. And what is that? It's like, it's math. Math isn't just like a human language, but it's like the language of God, I would say. And that's kind of evidence of like, who created that? How does that exist? And then you think, well, I don't know, these other dimensions, like, is our reality come from that? Or does that come from this? Or, these are big questions that I don't know the answer to.
Right.
But we just explore them, and then I don't know, I do my best to just try to bring that back and interpret it, integrate it into my life, and figure out what it means. And
like the mind wants to know.
Yeah.
Like I did Aya last week. It'd been like a year and a half since I've done it. And I was back in that place. I was like, okay, yeah, this place again. I know it. I feel it. It's not like it always looks the same. It's ever changing. It doesn't even look like nothing. I just feel it. And I'm like, my brain, my software wants to figure it out. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, is this like a collective consciousness alien race that's welcoming into their house, which seems to be eternal and infinite and outside of space? Or is this like the steps going towards God, quote unquote, God being the oneness consciousness that is the source of everything? Where is God in this? Or is this also like a part of God? Perhaps that would be like the arm of God, and we humans in the physical plane are just like the fingers.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm that too, but it feels so not the me that I think I am, as in Chris, the avatar on planet Earth in the physical plane.
Yeah.
I don't know. I I got more questions than answers. So, do you know? So this specific painting that we're looking at, which is great to have right next to us as inspiration. What does this mean to you? Like, what is this place? Who are these beings, and what are they doing?
Well, we titled this painting "Strange Attractors," and it's this term in chaos theory where it's these forces that bring order out of the chaos. And you can almost see us existing, or this planet Earth, as a whole lot of order coming from a bunch of chaos. If you look at the cosmos, and nebula clouds condense and kind of crystallize into planet Earth that harbors life, and then we exist. And it's just kind of mind baffling, but it's, and chaos exists in all of it. Our lives are very chaotic, and it's part of the yin yang balance, but there is so much order, just the fact that we exist and are talking right now. For a video camera. So strange attractors are these things that take the chaos and bring it together and condense it and crystallize it into order. And
it's almost like a gravity.
Yeah, like gravity is a good example of that.
It's like an invisible field
Yeah.
that holds this ayahuasca snake or those rings. Doesn't seem like there's something that's uniting it, but there is like some kind of vibration holding it. Strange attractors.
Yeah.
And that's like a mathematical term?
Yeah.
That seems very unscientific. Why call it strange?
Well, there's other attractors too, but these specific ones are called strange because, I don't know, psychedelics are pretty strange. And
what about this ball of madness?
Well, I kind of wanted to show, like here you have a sphere with the patterns on it.
Yeah.
And here you have a fully expanded, it's like the same thing, but fully opened up.
Right.
And here you kind of have in between that. And then these are almost like cellular, but everything's spherical and round. Everything's like a mandala.
Right.
Because if you think of gravity or planets or cells, nucleus, everything starts from a single point and radiates outward. In 3D world, like the sphere is like the simplest geometric form due to gravity or attractors. And so kind of abstractly representing that, like, I'm not saying this is what strange attractors look like.
Right.
I don't really
You got
know.
your own language.
Yeah. This is just my interpretation trying to represent that.
Uh-huh.
Those big, physics concepts.
Do you know what they're doing, or if they have a purpose, or, well, obviously you don't know, but like, can you, like, what do you feel? What's your guess? What's going on here? I don't know what's going on the physical plane either. So, it's all more questions, and it's okay if we don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's beautiful to observe it. It's almost like a marine life. Like, you go down there and you look at the fish, it's like, what the fuck they're doing? And we can be like, oh, well, this fish is doing this because of this. We always try to look at everything logically, but we don't really know.
Totally.
Maybe that fish just likes, taking shits on that coral. That's what he does. He's an asshole. He's like, I don't know. So there's a lot of nature influence on this too, right?
Yeah. Kind of, you look at this and you're like, is this microscopic, or is this like, giant, bodies in space, like cosmic bodies? And I'm kind of trying to blur the line, and you don't know the scale of it, and kind of trying to show that it could be micro and macro. It's all the same, kind of fractals, vibration. I believe that, like, vibration is everything, like frequency, light. Even like the neurons firing in our minds is little electric signals. That's light, and light is frequency, and so I'm constantly drawing like vibrating lines. Lines kind of represent vibration to me, and energy, like rippling like in a pond, and that kind of to me represents everything. We see it all over in nature, like the sand dunes ripple in the wind, the clouds ripple in the wind. You see all these like sea creatures, like coral and shells in the ocean, and they're all rippling. And even our own like fingerprints, you look at our details of us, and everything is this vibration, like this signature of God. Even in computers, you have ones and zeros. That's the whole language, is like a pulse of energy, and then space with nothing. Right.
Something's happening, something's not happening.
Yeah.
That's the contrast of reality.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
Up and down. Happening, not happening.
Yeah.
When you go to these places, somehow it feels to me that this is the real reality, and this is the fake reality. Do you ever feel that?
I almost think like maybe this reality births this reality, that reality, like.
Are we like the dream of that place, of those beings? Are the real us's in pods in these balls? Like, is that light magic one of us?
Yeah, it could be a soul, right?
Right. And then they're just kind of like dreaming that we're humans, and it feels really real to us, and we get to live this life, but then we go back and it's like, oh no, we're just like on this magical landscape of eternity, infinity. And what is that compared to like the oneness of God that is just absolute nothingness, everythingness? I don't know. I'm just getting lost in
big questions, yeah.
Right. I just get lost in my thoughts again. I'm just like, I'm curious and I want to know, and I'm always trying to like ask other psychonauts what their perspectives are till we figure it out. But I guess we'll only really know once we die.
Yeah.
Back on planet Earth, how are you seeing reality on the physical plane these days, on our journey as humanity? As somebody who sees things from the point of view of a spirit who's having a dream in physical reality, where are we in our journey? How do you observe it? How do you feel about it?
Definitely with COVID that happened recently, definitely seemed like a lot of darkness, but it also was like a pause. And I feel like a lot of us got to sit with just ourselves. And I think that was a huge catalyst into realizing, hey, we're kind of in trouble here. And at the same time, I have a lot of hope, because I feel like maybe I'm in a bubble, but I feel like I see a lot of people waking up, and, there's medicines being spread, like the Psychedelic Science Conference. And, especially during COVID, I got really into mushrooms. They came into my life full force. I'd been doing them before COVID, but I learned about all the mushrooms, the psychedelic and the culinary, and the ones that can, decompose plastics and oils, and ones that can, fight cancer or heal you from the inside or give you a spiritual experience. And, through all the dark times of COVID, all the bad news that was on the television all the time, I was like, hey, this is it. This is something that can really help us turn it around. And so that gave me a lot of hope. So I painted a mushroom piece just because that was like the hope I had through those dark times of like, hey, look at this. Like, I want to shout these things out because this is like, could really save us,
Right. So you're optimistic about the future. Mushrooms can save us. Psychedelics can save us.
Yeah, that's why I like to believe. Yeah. And that's why I'm a part of this movement, and feel like just do my part to spread that.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing your part, both painting, but also just being a nice, sweet guy. Like, I don't know you that much, but I already love you. I think
Love
you're
you.
just so nice and kind. And I hope that now that you're like a well-respected popular artist, that won't get ruined by the world.
Yeah.
How is all of a sudden like becoming like, being appreciated by galleries and lots of people? Is it like a fun experience, or is it like stressful, or there's a lot of pressure, or?
There is an element of stress and pressure that didn't exist a few years ago, but I think, that's the way we grow, is by testing the edges of our comfort and moving past that. And so, I get in situations where I'm feeling stressed out, but I'm also like, through meditation and through these medicines, I'm like observing my own patterns and how I approach stress and pressure. And I'm trying to rise to the occasion, because that's how important I feel all this work is. And so
Right.
I'm not going to let those things stop me, but it's real. Like, kind of when you get in a spotlight, you feel like there's all these eyes looking at you, and I'm like, dude, I don't know everything. Like, I haven't all figured it out.
Right.
But what I have figured out is I have this gift, and I believe in these things that do good, and I just want to do good and be positive out there, because there's too much negativity. I want to be part of that, of the balance, the yin yang, I want to be the positive part. And
Well, good for you, man. Thank you for that. Definitely. Becoming public is part of the artist path many times, because it's like you gotta go out and be like, hey, everybody, look at what I'm doing. Like, you want it right to see you, and then you're like, okay, now all eyes are on me, and are we gonna choke and fucking like become, drunkards because we can't handle the pressure of being under that microscope,
Yeah.
both external and internal. We're the biggest judges of ourselves.
Totally.
So we really got to get to that place of comfort of like, I'm chill with me. So even if the world, might think whatever of me, like that doesn't matter. And as you say, rise to the occasion so we can serve our medicine from a good, authentic place, and do our part in helping humanity get to a place where the consciousness can manifest the positive timeline.
yeah.
So good on you for doing your part there. We're coming to the end of our conversation. Would you have any final words words of wisdom to the people watching this?
Yeah, like, we all go through ups and downs and hard times in life, but I think just don't ever feel too alone. Like, find friends, find community, take these medicines, with friends or community, or however it works out for you. But like, I don't know, no matter how, dark it can get, you're like, no one's alone, actually. And if you see someone who looks like they're going through that, then reach out, because, just talking with someone and sharing space and listening, maybe someone hasn't even experienced that before. We're all caught in this hustle and bustle, rat race, but it's all it takes is someone slowing down and seeing someone, and that could just turn their whole life around. So, I don't know.
Being kind matters.
Yeah, totally. And we're all significant, every one of us, so I don't know, just don't forget that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Blake.
Oh, yeah, Chris.
And thank you guys for watching another week of Chris Dyer's Creative Friends. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, put the ring bell thingy, etc. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Blessings.
You guys.
Next episode, Killer Acid. You got wisdom.
I do. I'm just kidding. I don't know. People ask me sometimes, like, how do I do this? How do I do art? Or how do I do this? And how do I do that? And sometimes I'm like, I try to tell them, like, get your vision together, get your like message together, get your like art together.
So please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Big thanks and see you next episode. Peace.